Another concept that comes up in the Course is this idea of a little willingness and to choose again. So what does that mean when we talk about that in the Course? Again, let's start with the non-duality, the truth that is God. There is this idea to be separate from that and then to make that idea significant and block the awareness and the memory of that truth. Then the task becomes, well, what do I do with this block of the memory of truth? I don't want to give it up and return to truth. I've already stated my interest in it. So my task becomes, what do I do with it? The world that we occupy looks something like this. I don't know if you can see, but I've put a few faces on the fingertips. But the world that we occupy looks like this. And here's me, surrounded by all other people and a lot of other things and activities. So usually our idea of a little willingness has to do with I would like to be a little bit more willing to forgive, to get along, to help people understand what the experience that I am having or that truth is. And so I really look towards a little willingness to occur here. Same thing with choose again. I think that I should be more forgiving, more loving of what's going on here. What the Course is actually talking about is not the willingness to do this, but the willingness to see where all that comes from, and that change in perspective changes everything. So the little willingness has to do with going from here and seeing this, seeing everything that is the connective part that makes this operational. In essence, this is the guilt, this is the abstract mind, and the denial is put in place, and then the projection is made. So what we're really involved with are projections. It's kind of like the gauge to a gas tank. It tells you if the gas tank is empty or full, and there's nothing you really do with the gauge, but it indicates what's going on with the gas tank. Same thing with our interactions with each other. So again, the little willingness has to do with not what goes on up here, not the usual sense of that I want a better outcome, I want a better experience. As the Course says, nothing so blinding as perception of form. Or another way to put that would be nothing so blinding as feelings. Nothing so blinding as my investment in outcomes occurring up here. What I'm always in denial of, what I always refuse to see and remember, is this part. The palm of the hand, the part that actually operates these. In essence, when I began to be really focused on this part really is no longer necessary, and I can then take a look at what this is. But the drive, the investment is to deny this and deal with the projection, and that's where I think I can act out my individuation, my specialness, and dilute all the guilt that we've talked about before. So again, the little willingness, I can use my brain and understand that it's not about better outcomes here, but that am I really willing to drop the denial and look at this part, and in that respect, I am orchestrating everything. I'm responsible for not just for myself, but everything that goes on up here. And when I'm no longer distracted by this, I can really take a look at this, and that introduces the second choice, the second choose again, the second level of little willingness. Am I willing to let this go, to unblock my memory and know what truth is, to return to the memory of truth? So when we talk about a little willingness, I can start here. I will start with here because I believe myself to be this and everybody else to no longer be a part of me, not be connected to me in any way, certainly not that I'm orchestrating everything. But the truth is I am when I look at the underlying part, the denied part. And then I can, so my first choice is to choose again and have a little willingness to drop this. Then I'm less distracted by this. And then am I willing to choose again in terms of letting go of the block to the awareness, to the memory of love, and in essence then return to that non-duality that is God. So there's kind of a progression, but when we use words like little willingness, choose again, forgiveness, miracle prayer, certainly join with brother, that's what it means. It doesn't mean that outcomes up here change. It doesn't mean that things have to get along or don't get along up here. It simply means that I'm willing I will choose again. I have the forgiveness. I have the different vantage point. I have the prayer to join with my brothers and understand that the truth of me is here. The truth of everyone is here. Now, obviously, you can begin to see that there's a huge investment in not seeing that, because everything that I look at in the world I see as separate from me and that I'm not responsible for. In fact, those other things inflict either goodwill or ill will towards me. On this level, however, that all changes. So the little willingness is to move from an individuated finger state to understanding that I am the hand, the palm that handles that all, and then to entertain the notion, am I willing to let go of this block to the memory of truth and love? And so again, the little willingness has to do with removing the denial and then removing the block to the awareness of love. The question is, am I willing to do that? So I can use my brain to know that that's what the Course is talking about, and to choose again and exercise those thoughts and those ideas on my way back to the memory of truth. So one of the things that becomes clear is in this setup, there is me, there are the Jesus figures, the people that I like, then there are the Hitler figures, the people that I don't like, the people that I account for evil. There are my coworkers, there are the people in traffic, there are the people in stores. So all of that looks independent from me, and it has an impact on me. So again, the motivation that we have is to never reveal where all that comes from, to see where the connectedness and the real orchestration exists. So when I drop that, then the Jesus, the Hitler, the people in the store, my coworkers, my friends, all of that becomes the joined one mind. And then the question becomes, am I willing to let that go? Do I want to choose again to let that go? And so there is nothing blocking the memory and the awareness of love. Where we also get into trouble and make confusion about the Course is when we think that the little willingness occurs here, and that I have the little willingness, I choose again, and what I'm actually doing is using my brain and making those statements. But more importantly, then I think that I should have results up here, that things should be feeling different, that the outcome up here should be different. And that's really to confuse the whole process and where it takes place and what's meant by the little willingness and choose again. The correct interpretation, understanding of that is simply that I can use my brain as a body and understand that the Course's teaching is that when I choose again, when I have the little willingness, it is to drop the denial. And having done that, or known that that's what I truly am invested in, then I don't need to concern myself with what the outcomes are or what continues or doesn't continue to happen up here. That's not the issue. The focus is to drop the denial and then become aware of what's occurring in here and not be distracted, not look to anything to change or to have different outcomes on the level of this. Doing that correctly allows me to remember this, so then the choice is, do I really want to continue this, or do I want to let it go and remember the truth of love, the truth of non-duality?